Recently, I was watching the cinematic trailer that Tempo released for the Bazaar in the summer of 2024, and this was the first time I had watched it in a long time. And while it was cool back when they originally released it, it's really fun now to go back and see so many of the little Easter eggs that they planted throughout the trailer now that we've gotten to play the game. And while I was looking through it frame by frame for myself, I decided that it might be a good idea to make a video on it for those of you who maybe haven't seen the trailer in a while, or maybe you haven't even seen it at all. So in this video, we will look at all the little hidden Easter eggs that I could find in the official Bazaar trailer, and we'll also look at the world trailer that they released shortly before the game launched in October. And a huge shout out to Swamps. He's one of the OG Bazaar content creators, and back when this trailer originally dropped, he actually made an Easter egg style video. So definitely go check that out, and also go check out the song Damn on his channel. It's a certified Raynad banger. You have to go check it out if you haven't seen it before. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So as soon as the trailer starts, we see Jules, and she's at her restaurant, we can assume. And in the background, you can see her daughter, whose name, at least in the early prototype builds we saw, was Laurel, as there were some items that had the name Laurel, like Laurel's favorite, on them. So that's probably her daughter's name. Her daughter looks an awful lot like her and is helping her serve at the restaurant. Makes sense. And then if you look at the person Jules is serving, this is Farai, or at least somebody who's very similar looking, of the same species, but it's probably Farai. And we'll talk about them more later throughout the trailer, as they'll be seen again, but just keep them in the back of your mind. And we could probably also assume that this dish Jules has may end up being a card of hers, but as Jules isn't out at the time of me recording this, we don't know for sure. And of course, we see Dooley with their iconic scarf on, and in the background, you can get kind of a better picture of Laurel. Then we see Laurel waving to Dooley, and it seems like they possibly know each other, and Laurel has seen Dooley around before. Then we see what Dooley ends up chasing for the entirety of the cinematic trailer, which is Stell and her hot air balloon. Then this zooms by really fast, but Dooley passes past a few different aliens, and the first one is this green alien holding an apple or something similar. And one of the pieces of art that have been released for the Bazaar for quite a while now actually shows this exact alien eating something back in the left corner. Then we have another alien that has also been seen in another one of these pieces of art that they've released, and I assume that both of these aliens are maybe not merchants, or at least not that I've seen. They're probably just kind of common background characters to set the stage and some of the art, and like in the cinematic, for example. Then, of course, we see the handsome but shrewd Pygmalion, and right next to him is the Beast of Burden, which he then picks up in order to let Dooley zoom through. And not only is the Beast of Burden a card and Pygmalion's a hero, but there's actually a skin we've seen several times where Pygmalion is holding the Beast of Burden like that. Then when Dooley comes and stops at this ledge, back on the back right, we see the crystal bonsai item, which is a Pygmalion item. Then on the right, you'll see a little animal that is known, at least in the early gameplay footage that we saw several years ago, as the tiny furry creature. And it at the time was an event where you could either pet or attack it, and you could do this several times, and depending on what you did, you would get different results. Now we see Dooley getting stuck in a bunch of wires, and on the right you can see Vanessa, of course, with her katana in hand, and in the background we see Farai delivering a package to Vanessa, it seems. And so more about Farai. Farai is an encounter that we originally saw several years ago, where Farai would drop off a package and then later would come back for it, or different results would occur if you either gave them back the package or you sold it. So it fits that Farai is delivering a package here. Now the blue guy at the table is one of the bounty hunters in the bounty hunter encounter that is unique to Vanessa. And the whole point of that encounter is that they are hunting down Vanessa to get the reward on her. So not sure why they are just kind of sort of casually chilling here. Then the other person at the table is Mr. Moo, who is an encounter you can only get to by entering the Thieves Guild and choosing to fight him, and he is the head of the Thieves Guild. It looks like Mr. Moo and the Bounty Hunter are maybe playing a game of Piggles, and it definitely looks like Mr. Moo might be losing here. As for what exactly is going on here, Vanessa might be there in an attempt to hire the Bounty Hunter, as it doesn't seem like they're about to fight, but she does seem like she's on guard with her katana out, so who knows. And then also on the right here, you can see right next to Mr. Moo is his Tom Moo gun, which is one of the items he has whenever you choose to fight him at the Thieves Guild. And then tucked away right behind where Farai is, you can see Teddy, which is one of the rarer items in the bazaar, as it can only be gotten from raiding the vault in the Thieves Guild, and even then it rarely actually shows up whenever you raid the vault. You usually just get coins. Then Dolly falls down into Mac's apothecary, where we see Mac seemingly brewing some potions. On the table, we see 3 items of Mac's that I don't know the names to, but we've seen in the past. This thing on the left, the thing in the middle where he's making the potion, and then the book are all Mac items that we've seen before. We also see several potions on the right and one in Mac's hand, but they don't seem to line up with any of the potions that we know Mac has in game. Then as Jolie is chased out and runs back onto the street, we see Farai again delivering another package to some other random guy. Of course, he's using his teleportation device or ability, whatever it is. And on the left, we actually see a few other boxes that look very similar to the boxes in the shipment item, but maybe most boxes in the bazaar just look like that, and it's not related to shipment at all. In the background, barely noticeable, we can see Andy, the small items merchant, who is honestly a pretty big jerk. Then as Dolly enters into this new area, on the left we see Balloon Bot holding his iconic balloon. Then on the right we see the other bounty hunter from the Bounty Hunter Vanessa encounter. I guess maybe they're taking a day off today if they're not even together. And this bounty hunter looks like they're just chilling, eating a sandwich. And in the background on the left, you can see what looks to be Dolly's solar farm, although it looks a little bit weird from this angle, but I'm pretty sure it's his solar farm item. And then as for the text, the sign on the right says barber, and then the one right behind that says arms dealer, and then the one right above and kind of behind that says meat. Then all the way in the back, the sign that you would walk under says the port. Then we see a giant explosion happen and Balloon Bot falls flat on his face and he loses his balloon. And we all know how Balloon Bot gets when he loses his balloon. Then as Dolly zooms by, we see him pass Kev's armory, and Kev of course is the shield and toughness merchant in the bazaar. Then Dolly shows up to JJ's shop, who is sort of the generic items vendor, and in the back left we see Vanessa's item Lockbox. And then right behind JJ we see the item Plasma Rifle. Then looking on the right, the lantern seems to be a Stell item that I wasn't familiar with, but he mentions it in his video. And the real question of this scene is, where was Dolly storing that bag of money and how did he put it on the counter? The world may never know. Then we see JJ offer up 3 items as he would in game. And normally in game these items would be just 3 Dolly items, but it's still sort of the same concept. So the one on the left are rocket boots, which are a neutral item. The one in the middle is a paper plane Stell item. Then the one on the right is the iconic Dolly item thrusters, which Dolly happily chooses. And then as Dolly begins flying away, we see the octopus item that you can get from defeating the veteran octopus enemy on the left here on front of this boat. And so maybe we can assume that this is the veteran octopus's ship right here that he's flying past. Not 100% sure, but it sort of seems like that. And then Dolly finally flies up to Stell in her hot air balloon, and we finally get to see Stell. Now that's it for the main trailer. Let's move over and look at the world trailer. And I really like this trailer. So the world trailer came out just a couple of weeks before the game entered closed beta. And at the beginning, we see Dolly getting brought to the bazaar in the back of a caravan that Pygmalion is driving. And I get the impression from the trailer that Pygmalion has been to the bazaar many times, but this is Dolly's first time coming here. It also opens up a lot of questions about where Dolly comes from and why Pygmalion is bringing him here in the first place.
You know what he said? That a rich life isn't about riches. That's when I knew I had to leave Jabalia. Oh!
As soon as Dolly wakes up from the bumpy caravan, the camera zooms out and we see a bunch of different Pygmalion items right off the bat, which makes sense because it's Pygmalion's caravan. On the right, the first item I noticed was Pygmalion's bootstraps. Then hanging from the ceiling in the back, we can see Pygmalion's dagger, and it's being stored in a very safe way, just hanging straight down from the ceiling. Then also behind that on the right, you can see Pygmalion's gumball machine. And then on the left, we can see the yo-yo, and next to that, the marbles, which is pretty fitting as those two items are paired together a lot in the actual game. And I'll talk about the rest of the items after this plays out for a minute.
As they say, the road to prosperity isn't always smooth. And I promise you, here.
We also see this covered cage here that is making a lot of bird sounding noises. So we can kind of assume this is the Uwashawali bird, as it is a Pygmalion item.
We'll find prosperity. It is the greatest marketplace in the galaxy.
So at first I wasn't really sure what this weird magical orb was. I don't think it's something that was currently in the game, at least at the time of me recording this, but it does look sort of reminiscent of the orb that Stacia is holding. So I thought maybe that this could be related to one of the other fates. Then going back and looking at the 2022 gameplay test that Reynad showed, we can see a fate called Praeteria, and she is holding an orb that looks awful similar to this. So I think this is sort of the same orb, or at least something very similar. So how Pygmalion got this orb, I don't even know. There's a lot of questions there.
Say, the place has a kind of...
And then immediately after that, you can see the Ganjo, which is a classic Pygmalion item that also shows up in his Pygmalion Bard skin, which is one of his best skins, let's be honest.
Magic, do it. Things are coming our way.
Then we see Pygmalion's hatchet is also being stored safely from the ceiling. It swings around and almost kills Dolly, but thankfully he survives. And then on the left, we can also see Pygmalion's deed item up on the shelf.
Incredible things. With hard work and a pinch of imagination, there'll be no stopping us.
And then, of course, we get a beautiful shot of Pygmalion's handsome face. I've heard he's as shrewd as he is handsome.
Welcome to the Bazaar. This
And then we get this beautiful shot of the bazaar that's just absolutely stunning. On the bottom left, you can see the neutral item, tourist chariot, and these chariots are traveling down this path. It's not really an item I thought about a lot until now, but I guess that the bazaar gets a lot of tourists, and this is a fun and easy way for them to explore the city. Now let's look at some of the text here to see what these things say. The sign with this little gold textile says fine linens. The sign above that one says gem, so I'm not sure if they sell gems or what exactly that means. The greenish sign above gem says deposit. Maybe that means like a bank or something of that nature. And I think the one on the other side of the building says gold, but I'm honestly not really sure about that one. It's really hard to make out. The sign on the right on the other building says photo house, so I guess that's where you can get your picture taken. Then there's a sign on the bottom near the tourist chariot, and this would give me a lot of problem, but I think it says visit the market. So I guess it's just a billboard for the tourists to see as they go by. And yeah, those are all the Easter eggs that I could get out of these two trailers. Let me know in the comments below if I missed anything that was super obvious. And don't forget to go check out that damn song on the Swamps channel. It's crazy. I really like these cinematic trailers, and I hope that Tempo does them in the future, although I know they're probably expensive to do and a lot of work, but they're really great. Thanks for watching.